Liam had never imagined that his life could change so suddenly. He had always been a poor hiker, wandering through forests, hills, and mountains with only a small backpack and his loyal dog, Max. Max was a clever little dog with bright brown eyes and a shiny black coat. Wherever Liam went, Max followed closely, sniffing the air and listening carefully. They had been together for years, exploring trails, sleeping under the stars, and sharing whatever food they could find. Liam liked the quiet life of hiking, but sometimes he wished for a warm room, a soft bed, and a place to call his own. One cold morning, as Liam sat on a fallen log beside a frozen stream, he felt the wind bite his cheeks and hands. Max shook his fur, scattering snowflakes around them. Suddenly, a letter slid from the mailbox at the edge of the trail. Liam looked at it curiously. The envelope was thick and old, and the handwriting was unfamiliar. He opened it carefully, his fingers numb from the cold. The letter said that his late uncle, whom he had never met, had left him a cabin in the far north. The words seemed strange at first. Liam had never even known this uncle existed. The letter explained that the cabin was fully his, along with any supplies left inside. There was no mention of money, only a simple message. The cabin was meant for someone who loved the mountains, someone who could take care of it. Liam stared at the letter in disbelief. A cabin of his own in the mountains? It seemed too good to be true. He looked down at Max, who wagged his tail and tilted his head. Max seemed to understand the excitement in Liam's eyes. Liam smiled and said, "Well, Max, it looks like we have a new adventure waiting for us." Max barked softly, as if agreeing, and trotted ahead along the snow-covered trail. That afternoon, Liam packed his few belongings. His backpack contained a worn blanket, some food, a small cooking pot, a knife, and a notebook where he wrote his observations during his hikes. Max's leash and a small dog blanket were carefully placed on top. Liam felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He did not know what to expect, and the mountains in the far north were known for being harsh and unforgiving. Yet the thought of a warm cabin and a safe place for the winter gave him hope he had not felt in years. The journey was long. Liam and Max walked for days, crossing frozen streams and climbing snowy hills. The mountains were beautiful, but they were also dangerous. At times, Liam had to dig through deep snow or help Max across icy patches. They stopped to rest under tall pine trees, listening to the sound of the wind brushing through the branches. Liam often spoke aloud, as if the mountains themselves could hear him. "We are almost there, Max," he would say. Max would wag his tail and look around, alert for any signs of movement. On the fourth day, after hours of walking, Liam spotted something in the distance. A small plume of smoke rose from behind a ridge. His heart raced. Could it be the cabin? As they moved closer, the shape of a wooden cabin emerged from the snow. It was simple but sturdy, with a stone chimney and a slanted roof covered in ice and snow. The windows were frosted over, and a wooden door creaked slightly in the wind. Liam felt a mixture of relief and curiosity. Finally, they had reached the cabin. Liam pushed the door open carefully. It made a long, low creak, and inside, the cabin smelled of wood, dust, and cold air. The room was small but cozy, with old furniture scattered around. A wooden table stood in the center, surrounded by chairs that looked strong but worn. In one corner, there was a fireplace filled with ashes. Liam could imagine the warmth it could provide once lit. Max ran inside, sniffing every corner, jumping onto chairs and wagging his tail in excitement. The walls were lined with shelves. Some had jars filled with herbs, dried food, and strange objects Liam could not identify. Others held books with yellowed pages and handwritten notes. Liam picked one up and opened it. The writing was neat, with careful lines and drawings of mountains, trees, and animals. He realized that his uncle had not only built the cabin, but had also recorded many observations about the forest, snow patterns, and the animals in the area. Liam felt a thrill of curiosity. The wind outside grew stronger, and the cold seemed to seep through the cabin walls. Liam gathered some dry wood he found behind the cabin and placed it in the fireplace. Using a small fire starter he had brought with him, he managed to light a fire. The flames flickered and danced, filling the room with warmth. Max curled up on the rug in front of the fire, his tail wrapped around his body. Liam sat in a chair, feeling the heat slowly return to his hands and toes. He looked around and smiled. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of belonging. As night fell, Liam noticed that the cabin had more secrets. In one corner, under a dusty cloth, he found a small wooden box. It was heavy and covered with carvings that looked like mountains and rivers. Liam tried to open it, but the lock was old and rusty. He placed it back carefully, deciding to find a way to open it in the morning. Max sniffed the box and barked softly as if urging Liam to pay attention. Liam laughed. "Patience, Max. We will see what is inside soon enough." The night was quiet except for the howling wind outside. Liam slept on the small bed covered with an old but warm blanket. Max lay beside him, ears alert and eyes shining in the firelight. Liam dreamed of exploring the mountains, discovering the secrets his uncle had left behind, and surviving the harsh winter with his clever dog by his side. When he woke up, the cabin was bathed in pale morning light. Snowflakes glimmered as they fell outside, and the forest seemed calm and peaceful. Liam felt a deep connection to this place. He knew that the cabin was more than just a shelter. It was a new beginning, a place where he could learn, survive, and perhaps uncover adventures his uncle had hidden for him. Max barked happily, ready to explore, and Liam stood up, feeling stronger and more determined than ever. The poor hiker who had wandered alone through forests and mountains had finally found something that felt like home. He did not know what challenges awaited him in the snow, but he felt ready. With Max by his side, Liam was certain that together they could face anything. The cabin, the mountains, and the mystery of the wooden box promised a life full of discovery, courage, and hope. Liam smiled, took a deep breath of cold mountain air, and stepped outside to start the first day of his new life. Liam spent the morning exploring the cabin more carefully. The sunlight reflected on the snow outside, making the mountains sparkle like silver. Max ran through the small yard, sniffing every tree and marking the corners with excitement. Liam walked slowly, examining the shelves, tables, and corners of the cabin. There were jars filled with dried herbs, bundles of rope, old tools, and books that looked like they had been there for decades. He opened one of the books and found drawings of mountain trails, notes about animal tracks, and instructions for surviving in the cold. It was clear that his uncle had been prepared for anything the mountains could throw at him. While exploring, Liam noticed a strange wooden box partially hidden under a pile of old blankets. It was carved with intricate patterns, including mountains, rivers, and strange symbols he did not recognize. He tried to lift it, but it was heavier than he expected. Max sniffed at the box, then pawed at it repeatedly, barking softly. Liam smiled at the little dog. "You think there's something important inside, don't you, Max?" Max barked again as if to confirm it. Liam examined the box. It had a small, rusty lock. He tried to open it with his fingers, but it did not budge. He decided he would need tools to open it properly. The afternoon passed quickly as Liam gathered wood outside and chopped small logs for the fireplace. The wind was cold and relentless, carrying tiny shards of ice that stung his face. He worked carefully, always keeping an eye on Max, who was chasing birds and exploring the trees. By the time the sun began to set, Liam had a small pile of dry wood ready for the night. The sky turned a pale orange and snowflakes began to fall gently, covering the ground in a soft white blanket. Inside the cabin, Liam built a fire in the fireplace. The flames crackled and gave warmth to the cold wooden room. Max curled up near the fire, his body radiating warmth. Liam felt a sense of comfort he had not felt in years. He sat in a chair, warming his hands, and looked around the cabin. There was a strange stillness in the room, as if the cabin itself was watching him. It was quiet but not empty. The shadows from the fire danced on the walls, creating shapes that reminded him of mountains, trees, and animals. As night fell, Liam heard a noise outside. Max perked up immediately, his ears standing straight and his tail stiff. Liam put down the log he was holding and listened carefully. The wind howled, but there was something else, a faint scraping sound in the snow. Liam grabbed a lantern and stepped outside, holding Max close. The snow was thick, and the moonlight made it difficult to see clearly. Max ran ahead, stopping suddenly at a mound of snow. Liam rushed over and began to dig with his hands. After a few minutes, Liam uncovered a small wooden box partially buried in the snow. It was old but solid, with the same kind of carvings as the one inside the cabin. The box had a small latch, but it was frozen shut. Liam wrapped his hands around it and tried to pry it open carefully. Max watched, his eyes alert, growling softly at the wind. Liam could feel the excitement rising in him. Who had buried this box? Was it left by his uncle, or had someone else been here? Unable to open the box completely, Liam decided to carry it inside. Max followed closely, barking softly as if guarding it. Back in the warmth of the cabin, Liam placed the box on the table. He examined the carvings carefully. They were strange, like a map of the surrounding mountains. There were small lines and shapes that seemed to indicate trails, trees, and water. Liam felt a thrill of curiosity. This was more than just a box. It was a clue, a message from his uncle waiting to be discovered. The fire burned brightly, casting shadows across the cabin walls. Liam tried different tools from the shelves to open the box, using small hammers, pliers, and even a knife. The lock finally gave way with a soft click. Liam opened the box slowly and peered inside. There were small jars of herbs, a bundle of rope, a folded map, and a few metal objects he did not recognize. The map was old and fragile, but it showed trails leading to hidden areas in the mountains, places where food, water, and shelter could be found. Liam felt his heart race. Max sniffed the box, then barked toward the window. Liam followed his gaze and saw the snow falling steadily outside. The forest beyond the cabin seemed endless, white and quiet, but full of life hidden beneath the snow. Liam realized that his uncle had prepared this place not just as a cabin, but as a secret guide for survival. Each item in the box had a purpose. Each line on the map led to a place that could help someone brave the mountains in winter. Night grew deeper and the wind blew harder. Liam prepared a small meal using dried food he had brought from his backpack. Max ate first, eagerly munching on his dog food, while Liam enjoyed a small portion of bread and cheese. They sat by the fire, listening to the wind outside and feeling the warmth spread through the cabin. The quiet was comforting but also mysterious. Liam could not shake the feeling that the mountains around him were full of secrets, waiting to be discovered. After the meal, Liam examined the map more closely. It showed hidden streams, caves, and small clearings in the forest. One location caught his attention, a small lake surrounded by trees and snow, marked with a symbol he had seen on the wooden box. Liam traced the lines with his finger, imagining the journey it would take to reach it. Max barked softly as if agreeing with his plan. Liam smiled and whispered, "Tomorrow we will find it, Max. We will see what your uncle wanted us to discover." He placed the map and the items from the box on the table carefully. Max curled up again by the fire, his head resting on his paws. Liam watched him for a moment and then prepared his bed for the night. The blankets were old but warm, and the fire continued to burn brightly. As he lay down, Liam felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The mountains could be dangerous, especially in winter, but he also knew that he was not alone. Max was with him, and together they could face anything. Outside, the storm began to pick up. Snow fell faster, and the wind howled through the trees, shaking branches and sending small icicles falling to the ground. Liam listened to the sound, feeling both fear and thrill. He realized that the cabin was more than just a shelter. It was a place that demanded respect and careful attention. It held lessons in survival, hidden paths, and ways to live in harmony with the mountains. Liam felt proud that he had inherited this gift. Through the night, Liam and Max stayed close to the fire. Every now and then, Liam would hear a small sound outside, a branch snapping, snow shifting, and Max would growl softly. Liam's mind was full of questions. Who else had been here? What had his uncle discovered in these mountains? And most importantly, what awaited them when they followed the paths on the map? By the time dawn broke, painting the sky with pink and gold, Liam was ready. Max stretched and shook the snow from his fur. Liam packed a small bag with supplies from the wooden box, tying it securely to his backpack. They would begin exploring the map today. The mountains stretched endlessly in every direction, white and silent but full of promise. Liam felt alive in a way he had never known. The poor hiker and his clever dog had discovered the first secret of the cabin, but Liam knew it was only the beginning. The wooden box, the map, and the items inside promised adventures, discoveries, and challenges that would test his courage and skill. With Max by his side, Liam stepped outside into the sparkling snow, ready to uncover the mysteries hidden in the mountains. The morning air was crisp and clear as Liam and Max stepped outside the cabin. The snow glistened like tiny diamonds under the pale sunlight. Liam tightened the straps on his backpack, checked the supplies from the wooden box, and looked at the map once more. The map had faded lines, small symbols, and marks that indicated hidden trails, streams, and clearings. One particular location stood out, a small lake surrounded by thick trees marked with the same symbol he had seen on the box. Liam felt a surge of curiosity and excitement. Today, he decided they would follow the map and discover what secrets lay ahead. Max bounded ahead, sniffing the snow and leaving small paw prints behind. Liam followed carefully, stepping lightly to avoid sinking too deep into the snow. The mountains around them were quiet, but they were alive with hidden sounds. Birds called from distant trees and the wind whispered through the pines. Liam checked the map again, comparing it to the trees and hills in front of him. Each step felt like entering a new world, a land untouched by people for years. As they climbed a small ridge, Liam noticed footprints in the snow that were not their own. They were faint, half covered by fresh snow, but they led in the same direction as the lake on the map. Liam knelt down and examined them carefully. "Someone else has been here recently, Max," he said. Max sniffed the footprints, then barked softly. Liam's mind raced. Could it have been another hiker? Or someone else who had known his uncle? He shivered despite the layers of clothing and continued forward. The path grew steeper and the snow deeper. Liam used a small walking stick to maintain his balance while Max leapt over obstacles, always watching him carefully. The map led them through a narrow passage between two rocky hills, a place almost hidden from view. Liam noticed unusual carvings on a tree along the trail, symbols similar to the ones on the wooden box. It seemed that whoever had marked the map wanted the next traveler to follow these signs. Liam felt a thrill. His uncle had left a trail not only to a hidden lake, but also a series of clues to test courage and intelligence. After hours of walking, they reached a small clearing. The snow was soft, and the sunlight created sparkling patterns on the ice-covered ground. In the center of the clearing was a frozen stream, half covered in snow. Liam knelt and broke a small piece of ice, drinking the clear water beneath. Max lapped at it happily, wagging his tail. Liam felt proud of their progress. Every step forward was a step deeper into the secret world his uncle had created. They continued, following the map carefully. The trees grew taller, the snow thicker, and the air colder. Liam noticed the trail narrowing, the branches forming a natural arch overhead. Max ran ahead, sniffing and barking softly at something unseen. Liam followed, and soon they arrived at a strange formation, a rock wall with a small opening at its base. It was partially covered by snow, but the map had marked it clearly. Liam knelt and cleared the snow, revealing a small hidden cave. Max barked and ran inside, sniffing every corner. Liam hesitated only for a moment before following him. Inside, the cave was surprisingly dry and warm compared to the outside. The walls were smooth and small cracks let in tiny beams of sunlight. Liam noticed old markings on the stone, similar to the carvings on the tree and box. He realized his uncle had hidden this place for a reason. It was not just a cave. It was a checkpoint, a shelter for anyone traveling in these mountains. Liam placed his backpack down and examined the surroundings. There were small ledges with old jars, a pile of firewood, and even a small folded blanket. Someone had prepared this cave carefully. Max ran to the far end of the cave, pawing at the wall. Liam approached and discovered a narrow passage blocked by loose rocks. He moved some aside and found another hidden path. It was smaller, but the map indicated it led to the lake. Liam felt a rush of excitement. His uncle had not only left them supplies, but had also created a series of secret paths through the mountains. Each discovery felt like unlocking a new part of the mountain's mysteries. They followed the passage, which gradually opened into a wide valley. The snow here was untouched, pristine, and deep. Liam noticed tracks of animals, deer, rabbits, and birds, but no humans. Max sniffed the air and barked happily, leading the way. They walked carefully, aware of the hidden dangers in the snow. Suddenly, Max stopped and ran toward a mound of snow. Liam rushed over and began digging with his hands. Beneath the snow, he uncovered a small wooden chest. It was heavier than the one in the cabin, but had the same intricate carvings. Liam felt a thrill of recognition. The chest was locked, but using tools from his backpack, Liam managed to open it. Inside were preserved foods, dried meats, a small fishing kit, and a few metal tools. But there was one more thing, a folded note written in neat handwriting. Liam carefully unfolded it. It read, "For the one who finds this, the mountains hold more than snow and cold. There are paths, knowledge, and shelter waiting. Follow the signs, trust your companion, and you will discover the heart of the mountains." Liam smiled. His uncle had left this for him as guidance and protection. Max barked, wagging his tail as if agreeing. They rested by the chest for a while, drinking water from a nearby stream and eating some of the dried food. Liam felt a connection not only to his uncle but to the mountains themselves. Every path, every rock, every snow-covered tree seemed alive with secrets waiting to be discovered. Max rested his head on Liam's lap and Liam stroked his fur. The mountains were vast, dangerous and beautiful, but together, they were capable of facing anything. As the day passed, Liam noticed shadows moving on the distant hills. He could not tell if they were animals or humans, but the thought reminded him to be cautious. The mountains could hide surprises, both good and bad. He decided to follow the map carefully, always staying aware of the surroundings. Max sniffed the air and barked at every sound, keeping watch. Liam realized that his dog was not just a companion. Max was a guardian, an important partner in their journey through the snowy wilderness. Before sunset, Liam and Max arrived at a small hill that overlooked the lake marked on the map. The view was breathtaking. The lake was partially frozen, reflecting the pink and orange sky of the evening. Trees surrounded it, their branches heavy with snow. Liam felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The journey so far had been difficult, but every step had led them closer to understanding his uncle's secret world. He set up a small camp near the lake, placing his backpack carefully and building a fire using some dry wood from the hidden cave. Max ran along the shore, sniffing and exploring, occasionally barking at birds flying overhead. Liam used the fishing kit from the chest to try catching a few fish from the small openings in the ice. It was hard work, but he enjoyed the challenge. As the fire crackled, Liam thought about the next steps. The map had more trails, more symbols, and more hidden paths to explore. Each one promised adventure, knowledge, and a deeper understanding of the mountains. Night came quickly. The sky turned dark blue and stars appeared, shining brightly over the snowy peaks. Liam and Max lay near the fire, keeping warm. The lake reflected the stars, creating a magical scene. Liam felt peaceful but also aware that the mountains held many challenges. His uncle had prepared him, leaving clues, supplies, and guidance. Liam understood now that the inheritance was more than a cabin. It was a path to discovery, survival, and wisdom. As he drifted to sleep, Liam thought about the adventures awaiting him. The wooden box, the hidden cave, and the map were only the beginning. Max lay beside him, breathing softly, ready to face whatever came next. The mountains were vast, mysterious, and alive, but together they were ready to uncover its secrets. Liam smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose. The poor hiker who had wandered alone had found more than a cabin. He had found a path, a companion, and a world full of mysteries waiting to be explored. The next morning, Liam woke to a sky painted in shades of gray. The lake shimmered under the weak sunlight, and a thin layer of frost covered the ground. Max was already awake, running along the shore and sniffing the snow. Liam stretched, feeling the cold air fill his lungs, and checked the map again. Their path was clear for the next part of the journey, but the weather seemed to be changing. He could feel the wind growing stronger, colder, and more restless. Despite the warning signs, Liam decided to continue. He packed his supplies carefully, including the preserved food, rope, and tools from the chest, and slung his backpack over his shoulders. Max barked as if agreeing and ran ahead, leading the way through the snow-covered trail. The mountains around them were quiet except for the occasional sound of distant snow shifting or branches breaking under the weight of ice. The cold was sharp, and Liam felt it through his thick jacket, but he pressed on, eager to see what the next part of the map revealed. After a few hours of walking, Liam noticed dark clouds gathering in the sky. The wind began to howl stronger than before. He adjusted his coat and wrapped the scarf around his face, protecting himself from the stinging snow. Max stayed close, occasionally running ahead but always returning to Liam's side. The mountains were beautiful, but their beauty could be dangerous. Liam knew that storms in these northern peaks could come quickly, and he needed to find shelter soon. The map indicated a small cave hidden in the mountains, marked as a safe spot. Liam scanned the hills and trees, searching for the entrance. Max sniffed the air and darted ahead, barking with excitement. Liam followed, and soon they reached a rocky slope. At the base, partially covered by snow and ice, was the cave. It was narrow and almost invisible from a distance, but Max ran straight to it, pawing at the snow in front of the entrance. Liam quickly cleared the snow and led Max inside. Inside, the cave was dry and surprisingly warm compared to the wind outside. Liam placed his backpack on a ledge and examined the walls. They were smooth and solid, and small cracks allowed tiny streams of sunlight to enter. Liam noticed old markings carved into the stone, symbols he had seen before on the wooden box and the trees along the trail. It was clear that his uncle had prepared this place for someone traveling through the mountains, providing a safe spot in case of storms or danger. Max explored the cave excitedly, sniffing every corner and occasionally barking at small shadows cast by the sunlight. Liam unpacked a few supplies from the chest and organized them neatly on a flat rock. There were preserved foods, dried meat, a small fishing kit, and warm clothing. He smiled, realizing that his uncle had thought of everything. The cave was not just shelter. It was a preparation site, a checkpoint to ensure that anyone following the map could survive the mountain's challenges. The wind outside grew louder, shaking the entrance of the cave. Snow whipped past the opening, creating a wall of white. Liam built a small fire near the back of the cave using dry wood he found inside. The flames crackled, giving warmth and light. Max curled up beside the fire, his tail wrapping around his body. Liam sat nearby, eating a small portion of dried meat and bread. The storm outside made him realize how important the hidden paths and safe spots were. His uncle had not only left a map and supplies, but had also created a system to protect those who explored the mountains. Hours passed, and the storm showed no sign of stopping. Liam used the time to examine the map again. There were other trails marked, leading to hidden clearings, streams, and even a small valley that seemed untouched by humans. The notes in the wooden box suggested ways to fish, find food, and use the natural resources in the mountains. Liam felt a deep respect for his uncle, who had spent years learning the secrets of these peaks. Max lifted his head, ears twitching at every sound, reminding Liam that they were not alone in the wilderness. Suddenly, a small rock dislodged from the cave ceiling and fell near Liam's feet. He jumped back, startled, and looked up carefully. The cave was stable, but the storm made everything feel more unpredictable. Liam realized that the mountains were alive and every path, tree, and snowdrift could change in an instant. He tightened his grip on the map and promised himself that he would stay alert and cautious. Max barked softly as if agreeing with him. As evening approached, the storm intensified. The snow outside blocked any view of the trail and the wind howled like a wild animal. Liam wrapped himself in warm blankets, using the fire to stay comfortable. Max lay beside him, eyes alert but relaxed. Liam reflected on the journey so far. The cabin, the wooden boxes, the map, and the hidden paths had led them here to this cave, and he knew that the mountains held even more secrets waiting to be uncovered. While the storm raged outside, Liam noticed a small glint of metal in the snow near the entrance of the cave. He walked carefully and uncovered a small rusted tin. Inside was a note and a few metal tools. The note read, "Those who follow the path must be patient and brave. Trust your companion and the mountains will guide you." Liam smiled. His uncle had thought of everything, leaving messages not just for survival but for courage and wisdom. Max sniffed the tin, then barked, eager to continue exploring once the storm passed. Night fell and the storm showed no sign of slowing. Liam lay on the blankets, listening to the snow hitting the cave walls and the wind howling outside. Max rested his head on his paws, occasionally lifting his ears at every sound. Liam thought about the adventures that awaited them after the storm, the hidden lake, the secret valleys, and the mountain trails marked on the map. He realized that his uncle had created not just a shelter but a journey, a way to test courage, intelligence, and trust. By midnight, the storm had reached its peak. Snow piled up at the cave entrance and the wind roared like a river of ice. Liam stayed awake, keeping an eye on Max and the fire. He thought about the journey ahead and the challenges they would face. The mountains were beautiful but unpredictable. Every step required careful attention, bravery, and trust in the map, the paths, and in Max. Liam felt a sense of determination stronger than ever. As the night passed, Liam and Max rested when possible, taking turns keeping watch. The storm reminded them that the mountains were not to be taken lightly. Every trail could hide danger, and every snow-covered clearing could conceal obstacles. Liam reflected on how his life had changed. From a poor hiker wandering alone, he had now inherited a cabin, a map, and a hidden path through the mountains. He had also gained knowledge, courage, and the companionship of Max. Together, they were prepared for whatever lay ahead. When the first light of dawn appeared, the storm began to calm. The snow outside glistened like diamonds in the pale sunlight, and the mountains looked peaceful once more. Liam packed the remaining supplies carefully, tying everything to his backpack. Max barked excitedly, ready to continue the journey. Liam took a deep breath of the cold mountain air, feeling ready for the next adventure. The hidden paths, the lake, and the secret valleys awaited them. The mountains held mysteries, and he was determined to uncover them all. Liam smiled at Max and said, "Are you ready, my friend? The storm is over, and it is time to see what lies ahead." Max barked happily and ran toward the cave entrance, paws crunching in the fresh snow. Liam followed, stepping carefully onto the snow-covered trail. The poor hiker who had once wandered alone was no longer lost. He had a purpose, a companion, and the courage to face the challenges of the mountains. The mountains were still, quiet, and full of secrets. The cabin, the hidden boxes, and the careful markings on the map had led them here. Liam knew the journey was far from over. The storm had tested their patience and endurance, but it had also strengthened their resolve. The hidden lake, the secret valleys, and the trails beyond promised discoveries, adventure, and a new life for the poor hiker and his loyal dog. With Max by his side, Liam stepped forward, ready to uncover the next chapter of his uncle's carefully hidden legacy. The sun rose over the snow-covered mountains, casting a warm glow across the peaks. Liam adjusted his backpack and looked at Max, who was already running ahead, sniffing the snow and exploring the small footprints left by animals. After the storm had passed, the mountains seemed calmer, peaceful, but Liam knew better than to be careless. The snow still held hidden challenges, and the trails marked on the map required careful attention. He tightened his coat, lifted the map from his backpack, and studied it carefully. Their goal for the day was the hidden lake marked by the mysterious symbol on the wooden box. The trail was difficult, winding through tall trees, steep hills, and frozen streams. Max led the way, his sharp senses guiding them over patches of ice and through areas where the snow was deep and soft. Liam followed closely, feeling a mixture of excitement and respect for the mountains. He realized that each step brought him closer to understanding his uncle's secret paths and the careful preparations left behind for those willing to explore. After hours of hiking, they arrived at a ridge overlooking the lake. The view was breathtaking. The lake reflected the morning sun, surrounded by tall pine trees and mountains. The ice on its surface sparkled like crystals, and a small opening near the shore allowed access to the water beneath. Liam set down his backpack and took a moment to enjoy the scene. Max ran ahead, barking happily and sniffing the edges of the lake. Liam felt a sense of achievement. The map had guided them here, and the journey had been worth every step. He remembered the notes in the wooden box in the cave, describing ways to survive in the mountains and find food. Liam decided to use the fishing kit from the chest to catch fresh fish from the lake. Max watched him carefully, tail wagging, as Liam cut a small hole in the ice and placed the fishing line. Within minutes, he caught a fish. It was small, but enough to add to their preserved food and give them a fresh meal. Liam smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Max barked excitedly, as if celebrating the small victory with him. While they rested, Liam explored the area around the lake. He noticed small clearings in the trees, perfect for shelter or resting during long hikes. Hidden trails, half covered by snow, led deeper into the forest. Liam marked them carefully in his notebook. It became clear that his uncle had created a network of safe places, hidden paths, and resources for anyone willing to explore the mountains. Each discovery made him feel closer to his uncle, even though they had never met. Max sniffed at each trail, guiding Liam with his instincts and alerting him to changes in the environment. As the day went on, Liam and Max explored further, following one of the hidden trails marked on the map. It led them to a small valley filled with soft snow and surrounded by tall trees. In the center there was a natural spring, with clear water flowing under the ice. Liam knelt and drank, feeling the cold water refresh him. Max lapped at it happily. Liam realized that the valley was another hidden resource his uncle had carefully marked. It was a place for rest, water, and safety even during harsh winters. The afternoon passed quickly as Liam and Max continued exploring. They found small caches of food, old tools, and hidden firewood left along the trails. Every discovery was a reminder of his uncle's wisdom and foresight. Liam felt grateful. The cabin, the wooden boxes, the caves, and the hidden trails had not only given him a safe place to stay, but also a new life filled with purpose, adventure, and knowledge. Max barked happily as they returned to the lake, running along the frozen shore and chasing birds. By evening, Liam and Max returned to the cabin, carrying some of the supplies they had found. The sun was low and the mountains glowed with shades of gold and pink. Liam built a small fire outside to dry their clothes and warm themselves. Max curled up beside him, resting after a long day of exploration. Liam felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The poor hiker who had once wandered alone through forests and mountains had now discovered a world prepared for him by his uncle. He had a cabin, a hidden network of paths, and the knowledge to survive and thrive in the wilderness. As night fell, Liam reflected on everything they had discovered. The storm had tested their courage, the caves had offered shelter, and the map had guided them to hidden treasures of food, water, and shelter. Each step had brought them closer to understanding the mountains and his uncle's carefully prepared legacy. Liam knew that their journey was far from over, but he also understood that they were ready for any challenge. Max rested his head on Liam's lap, and Liam stroked his fur gently, feeling a sense of companionship stronger than ever. The following days were filled with careful exploration and learning. Liam used the map and the notebook to find hidden trails, collect firewood, and locate food in the forests. Max remained his alert companion, leading the way and keeping watch. The cabin became their home base, a safe place to rest and plan the next adventures. Liam began organizing the supplies from the wooden boxes, labeling everything carefully so that it would be easy to access in case of storms or emergencies. Liam also began to improve the cabin. He repaired the roof, reinforced the doors, and built small storage areas for food and supplies. Max helped in his own way, running errands to carry small items and keeping watch for animals. The poor hiker who had once been alone had found a new life full of purpose and responsibility. The mountains were no longer just a place to wander. They were a home, a challenge, and a teacher. One morning, while exploring the outer trails, Liam found footprints that did not belong to him or Max. He followed them cautiously and discovered a small group of hikers who had lost their way in the snow. They were cold, hungry, and tired. Liam welcomed them to the cabin, offering food, warmth, and shelter. Max barked excitedly, wagging his tail and guiding the hikers safely inside. Liam realized that the cabin and the knowledge left by his uncle could help others, not just him. It became a place of refuge, a safe haven for those who needed help in the mountains. The hikers were amazed by the cabin, the hidden trails, and the careful preparations. Liam shared what he had learned, showing them the maps, the wooden boxes, and the hidden caves. He taught them how to find water, collect food, and survive the winter in the mountains. The visitors were grateful, and Liam felt proud. He had turned the cabin into more than a home. It was now a place of guidance, learning, and safety for others. Max continued to play and explore, happy to have new friends and companions around. As winter passed, Liam and Max continued to explore the mountains, discovering new trails, hidden valleys, and secret clearings. Each day brought new challenges and new discoveries. The poor hiker who had once wandered aimlessly had now found purpose, adventure, and a life full of meaning. The cabin, his uncle's wooden boxes, and the hidden maps had given him not only survival skills but also wisdom, courage, and confidence. Max remained his loyal companion, always alert, always ready, and always by his side. By the time spring arrived, the snow began to melt, revealing green grass, flowing streams, and blooming flowers. Liam stood outside the cabin, looking over the mountains with Max at his side. He reflected on how far they had come. From a poor hiker with no home to a guardian of a hidden cabin and its secrets, Liam had grown stronger, wiser, and braver. Max barked, running ahead to chase a bird, and Liam laughed, feeling alive and content. The cabin became a hub for hikers and adventurers, a place where anyone could find shelter and guidance. Liam welcomed each visitor, sharing his knowledge and ensuring they were prepared for the challenges of the mountains. Max greeted everyone with joy, alert to any danger and always ready to help. Liam realized that the true inheritance from his uncle was not just the cabin, but the wisdom, preparation, and courage to survive, explore, and help others. As the sun set over the mountains, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, Liam and Max sat near the fire outside the cabin. The lake reflected the colors of the evening, and the mountains stood tall, silent, and beautiful. Liam smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The poor hiker who had once wandered alone had found a home, a purpose, and a life full of adventure, discovery, and hope. Max rested his head on Liam's lap, tired but happy. Together they looked at the mountains, ready for the next adventure, knowing that whatever came, they could face it together. The mountains had given Liam more than a cabin. They had given him courage, companionship, and a path to a meaningful life. The hidden trails, the wooden boxes, the maps, and the legacy of his uncle had transformed a poor hiker into someone who could survive, thrive, and guide others. Liam knew that the journey would continue, but for now he felt complete. The cabin was not just a shelter. It was the beginning of a life full of discovery, purpose, and happiness. Liam whispered to Max, "We did it, my friend. We found the heart of the mountains." Max barked softly, tail wagging as if agreeing. The wind carried a gentle sound through the trees like a blessing from the mountains themselves. Liam knew that the adventure was never truly over, but he also knew that he had found exactly what he had been looking for: a home, a companion, and a life filled with wonder and hope.